Texas, when you're deeper than Dixie in love. Hallmark can't describe the way you made me feel last night. An FTD bouquet a day, don't even say it right. I'd love to make you see just how much you mean to me, but I come up short every time I try. 'Cause there ain't enough roses in Texas, or kisses in Hershey, PA. There ain't enough love songs in Nashville, or hours in an Eskimo's day. There ain't enough moon in Miami, don't even, or stars in the heaven above. There ain't enough roses in Texas, when you're deeper than Dixie in love. Well, there ain't enough moon in Miami, or stars in the heaven above. There ain't enough roses in Texas, when you're deeper than Dixie in love. There ain't enough roses in Texas, when you're deeper than Dixie in love.
All right. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Stu and the Nunn. That was great music right there from my good friend Chris Wrench. You can check him out at chriswrench.com. Wrote, produced, and everything that song, Enough Roses in Texas. Toby, what'd you think of that? It was the first time you heard it.
Yeah, it is. Not bad. I like his last name. There's a brewery down my street called Wrench Brewery. I wonder if he's related.
I don't know. Maybe get the hook up there. We get the hook up on the music and get the hook up on the brews. I will have to ask him. But yeah. Anyways, good friends with Chris, known him for a long time. Gave us that, and I wanted to play his music. Check him out. He's got a lot of great videos up there that he has done and performed all over, mostly in the Washington D.C. area and the whole Mid-Atlantic area. But yeah. Anyways, Toby, good to see you here on this April 22nd, 422.
It is great to be here. 422 for y'all is 2 days after the greatest day that has ever been bestowed against the country of the United States. And I know right now you're thinking, that's right, Toby Canadian probably is talking about the Devil's Lettuce Day. And you know what? I am.
The Green
I am
Goblin.
talking about the day.
The Green
I am
Goblin.
talking about 420. 2020.
I don't know if that makes it the greatest day, but yeah.
But
I
the
could be
reason
biased.
it's the greatest day,
The
reason it's the greatest day is because it's my homie's birthday. I'm not, it's becoming a national holiday because, the Devil's Lettuce. It really should be a national holiday because of one of its greatest sons, hero to some. God bless you, my brother. Happy birthday. 420, 422 is the day of our show. And here we are. I want to pull a little David Bellavia talking about Stu and the Nunn. That's Nunn with two N's. 8 o'clock Eastern on YouTube, Facebook, and everything else you got.
that's
I'm
pretty much how he said it. Right?
I'm not. Yeah, and I wanted to be like, I need that app. Whatever else you got, I don't have that app. And then I was like, oh, that's just what he's saying.
It's more downloaded. No, today, that's more downloaded than Parler. But
whatever else you got is definitely downloaded more than Parler. But yeah, you and I both had the pleasure of being on the David Bellavia show earlier today, calling in on a nationally syndicated radio station because we're ballers like that.
Yeah.
Because we're ballers.
Yeah, absolutely. It was great having you on. We've talked about it a number of times on here. I've been I'm on his show. I've been quite a bit in the studio and that stuff. He's not far from actually where I'm sitting right now. But it was great to have you on. He'd been like, hey, how come Toby never comes on the show? What's he got against it? I'm like, what? I'm like, no, Toby totally comes on the show. And you did good. I guess the studio had some audio problems with me partway through. I dropped it. That's how connected we are. You picked it right up and ran with it. I mean,
Yeah.
it was.
Holler at your boy.
That's right.
Holler at your boy. If you need some fill, need some content, I got you.
Yes.
And I pull it off my app, the Everything Else You Got app, and I just pull up my content and send it to the world.
Let's get that domain.
Hopefully Rob's buying it right now.
Yeah, Rob's like, I got that.
Fireball on me next time, Rob, if you already have that picked out. But no, Rob's doing his job as the ramen paid producer.
Greatest ramen and t-shirt paid producer ever.
Ramen and t-shirt sponsorship. But yeah, we are brought to night by Enlisted Nine Fight Company. You can find them on ninelineapparel.com. I actually spoke to one of the founders of Enlisted Nine Fight Company today via video chat. He's coming to the greater Austin area to participate in a event here in the next month or so. So I'm going to get to hug that neck and see him. And if I can swing a Thursday night, maybe we can get him to make an appearance. But we'll see what's up with that. Also, Alpha Elite Performance, as always, for all your performance needs, get that great Gold Seal protein. You're having a hard time sleeping, get that Green Beret nap time, the GBNT nighttime Florida formula. If you are a military member that spent some time overseas, they have an amazing product, this metal detox.
Yes.
All the things that we ingested and took in. And remember, like these products are designed and formulated and created by just a team of amazing special operators, Green Beret, to make sure that they do the best for your body to get the best out of your body. So alphaeliteperformance.com. Elite 15 is your discount code. And so you just make sure that the world knows the great products, veteran owned and operated companies that we represent. There's also this other little company, veteran owned, slightly operated. But if you want a good operator t-shirt and you want that Ranger specific, get your Gear for Grunt on. You want that rapid access magazine pouch, you just get yourself that ramp. Go to gearforgrunts.com. Get you some of that gear. Get you some of the new t-shirts. They got some amazing t-shirts coming out. I was on the site the other day. They got the Spotlight Ranger.
Spotlight.
Everyone knows that Spotlight Ranger. They got all the good shirts. And I know that they were just a sponsor of the best Ranger competition that just wrapped up last week out at the home of the Queen of Battle. That's right.
The School for Wayward Boys.
That's right. So like get you there, get you some of that, get you that operator t-shirt. If you don't want that Ranger operator t-shirt from Gear for Grunts, go on Enlisted Nine Fight Company at ninelineapparel.com. But if you want that outdoor apparel, you want that silky smooth, you want that good, as the kids say, well, you need to go on down to ComodiOutdoors.com and get the butteriest, softest thing that'll ever ride your nipples. That's right. No points of friction, nothing but happiness, fish catching, sun protecting, all the time outdoor loving. From whether you're on the bank, on a boat, in the bush, or walking into a bar, look and feel your best.
The 4 B's.
Comodi Outdoors.
The 4 B's.
The
all
4
covered.
B's.
All covered.
That's right. All right, now let's get down to it. We paid some bills.
And if you're looking for a great charity support that directly supports our war fighters and our troops and people that have sacrificed a lot, I got to point to this awesome looking polo I'm wearing, Veteran Outdoors, and hat. I'm double stacked here, but got the Veteran Outdoors. Went uptown tonight. Toby got the collar on. Went to the polo.
Oh, uptown.
So, yeah. That's it. And Toby is on fire, as Rob is saying. Yeah, you are a great hype man for a lot of our guests, but you are the best hype man for us. Almost as good as Bellavia. He hypes us to a level that could be considered a little fictional, but he does hype us up.
His hype algorithm is a higher pace than mine. He cycles through the information at a much higher rate.
His cyclic rate is it's Belfry.
he's belt fed when it comes to like getting that time, information, and location out, for where you can tune into the great awesome sauce. Where mine is like it's more deliberate. I'm I'm not quite
You're more
suppressing.
you're more consistent like a 25 Mike Bush
Yeah.
match. You're like badoom
Mm,
badoom badoom badoom. He's like
that's
that
right.
coax. He's like that coax
Mm.
maxed out.
Z pattern. He's just Z patterning it.
Our good
But all right.
friend Omar Hardaway, if he was on with us tonight, would be totally up for that, as he told us and Dave has told us. He is quite the master as in the Bradley Commander spot. But yeah, that's it. Rockstar Energy Drink. Yeah, Mesa. They're not a sponsor. We can't mention them, Doug. But anyways, yeah, we got a lot to cover tonight. I did a video, Toby. I don't know if you even saw it a little bit before the show. I gave that 20 minutes warning for those of you that have stepped out of an aircraft before, and kind of just said, I need to throw something up. We talked about today on the show with Bells that we were doing just us tonight, just talking, and the reason was. Because the reason is, I guess, is because there's so much to talk about. We've been so stacked with guests, some of the greatest guests we've had, thanks to Rob, in the last month, 2 months, that, there's been so many other events happening, we just can't get to them. We've been rolling hour and a half, 2 hours every show, and we can't even get to, like, current events because of just such great topics. So we thought we'd take tonight, April 22nd, and just talk through kind of what's happening, because as has been our world and our country for the last number of years, there's been no shortage of content and topics to talk about.
That's right. Like the great songbird of the United Kingdom, Adele would say, "We've been rolling in the deep," and let's get started. But I'm going to take it north of the border, and we're going to start in the north, and we're going to work our way south.
Okay.
All right. So, like geographically, let's start in the north. Canada is starting to wake up, and I think they are poking a sleeping giant. Now, that's right. What's America's hat got going on? Well, I can tell you what they don't got going on: COVID vaccinations. But what they do got going on is they got some serious lockdowns, amazingly overt and scary suppression of the media, and like they are borderline going back to tyrannical rule.
I mean,
Like,
I want to jump in real quick. You got a lot to go on this, more than I do probably, but I got to say, I was amazed when I saw some of the stories in the last week come out about, the country that's always been known as apologetic and sorry and all this kind of stuff, like ripping people out of cars, pulling people over, just wanting to know. I mean, at a level of rule, like you say, tyrannical rule of what we literally saw in places like Nazi Germany and communist China, where they're pulling people over and demanding stuff and physically assaulting, coming after people for being just out and about. It's scary. It's got to be scary for the people of Canada. You've got family there and friends, I imagine.
Yeah, no, like it's a real thing, and that's I have the courage to talk about it here because I can't be censored. They can't come to my house. There's some news outlets, and it doesn't matter like if you agree with the news outlet politically or not. They're a media outlet, and when you see any media outlet being suppressed in any way, it's very telling. So any of our listeners want to go find out some of the craziness, some of the absolute wildness that's going on, the censoring of the press, you just go to rebelnews.com. Go to Rebel News and just Google it and just hit the videos. And if Google are suppressing, try DuckDuckGo. But some of these videos are crazy and what's going on. But one of the things I want to touch on that is the most telling thing. So we've talked about it on the show, many times. Everyone's like, why did you come from Canada? If Canada's so awesome, why did you come to the U.S.? Well, I came to the U.S. because the U.S. is better, right? So, like, all my Canadian people are getting mad at me right now, and it's not because I don't love where I'm from. It's not where I'm not proud of where I'm from. I'm absolutely 100% proud to be a Canadian. I'm proud of the birthright that my father gave me. I am proud of my family that lives up there. I was just blessed with the opportunity to see something else. And what I saw is this thing called the Constitution of the United States, and specifically the first 10 amendments. Now, Canada doesn't have the Bill of Rights. what it does have is this document they call the Charter. And the Charter it's not a carbon copy of the Bill of Rights. It kind of covers down on some of those things. It gives you the general right to free speech. It gives you the general right, to worship as you see as you see fit. It gives you the general right to press, but it doesn't guarantee you some of the rights that are guaranteed here in the United States within the Bill of Rights. Like you have the right, to due process in Canada. You have the right, to not incriminate yourself too much. But these are all like very general. Like the Charter is not written as steadfast as the Constitution. Well, where the Charter, can be viewed is online, right? And recently, the Canadian government took all the pages and all the references to the Charter down off the government's official websites, right? So if you were a citizen of Canada and you wanted to know if you had the right to protest, which is what we're talking about here, in the province of Quebec and Ontario, some of the provinces that are seeing some of the worst lockdowns, a protest was scheduled to happen in Montreal. And the police showed up in huge numbers to arrest anybody that showed up because you don't have those rights anymore. And if you were to even look on the website to show the officer that you had the right to free assembly and you had the right to protest a grievance with the government, which is what these are. These are grievances with the government about being locked down. Of course, Canada has CNN, Canada has Fox News, Canada has all these American outlets that they can witness. And what they're seeing is states like California, which has a larger population than Canada, states like Florida that it also has a larger population or a similar population demographical breakdown as Canada, states like Texas that are near the same population, we're open.
Right.
Florida hasn't had a mask mandate since July. Texas is now mask at your own personal discretion. Businesses open, restaurants full capacity. You want to go sit and watch a movie? Go sit and watch a movie. Do you? Like Texas believes in do you. Just don't litter. All right. Don't mess with Texas.
That's right. And pull over the shoulder if someone wants to pass you. Just be kind.
That's right. Respect the fact that there's people going faster than you.
That's right.
And they are seeing the rest of the world, not just the United States. They're seeing the rest of the world open up. Yet Canada is still in this very strict and getting stricter.
Why can't they get vaccinations of that? That's what I've heard is they can't get like the running joke is like, they only have 8 shots or something like that. I mean, that's
yeah.
true.
I mean, allegedly, I don't believe anything the Prime Minister of Canada says anymore. Allegedly, they said that 25% of the population is currently received its first dosage.
Is that the degens from Upcountry? Are they taking all the doses? Them damn degens?
Yeah. However, 25% of that population is not the amount of dosages they actually have in the country. So like he's not being accurate in what he's saying. He's saying some things. It's closer to, it's not even 10%, not even 10% of the country. It's closer to like 8 or 9% of the country have received their first dosage, not complete vaccinations.
Right.
I'm talking about first dosages. All right. So, there's some issues there. One of the main reasons for it is the Prime Minister of Canada. It appears he spent his summer not doing what everyone else in the world was doing, and that was brokering deals. He's been, besieged with scandal after scandal after scandal. The summer scandal and ongoing scandal is the um, scandal, and that's where a nonprofit that's a children's-based nonprofit run by some affluent brothers in Canada were awarded a multi-$100 million contract within Canada to help the Canadian youth. And it appears that the reason this nonprofit was awarded this exceptionally profitable and beneficial uh, contract was as a direct result of their relationship with the Trudeau family, to which he'd paid mom, brother, and wife. The We Foundation had paid the mom, brother, and wife of the Prime Minister exceptionally large amounts of cash, dollars, to do speaking engagements or public appearances. So there's definitely the sign of impropriety and scandal after scandal. But instead of like doing what he was supposed to be doing in terms of brokering deals with the United States and the United Kingdom to get more vaccinations, he was late to the game. But the biggest thing is when you take the ability for your citizens to understand and to know what their rights are, it's pretty scary. I'm in the headquarters of Cremoti right now. I'm in the den. Not far from where I sit is the main production area for a lot of our goods. And on that wall, by law, by mandate, is that I display OSHA posters.
Right.
And that way all my employees know the rights that they have
as employees in the U.S. of a company.
Without any doubt. They know exactly what they're entitled to, what their rights are, and if there's an issue, who they can call. And I'm held by law to do that.
Did you freeze on me? Did I lose you? What happened? I got a frozen Toby. Anybody else got a frozen? I've lost him there. Uh-oh. Well, maybe somebody shut off his internet. So, Toby, I don't know if you're still there or not.
Can you hear me?
Oh, there you are.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, everybody.
You froze there for a sec.
I was a little bit frozen. That's because, I was, Canadian, so I was like imitating myself as a young child. But I can't imagine living in a country where they are trying deliberately to hide your abilities and what your grievances your source to.
It's scary, right? Because everyone thinks, we've talked about this a number of times on the show.
That's tyranny, right?
People I say, right, what's every election? I'm going to Canada. I'm going to run to Canada. There's a war I don't agree with. I'm going to Canada, right? I don't want him elected. I'm going to Canada. And we've talked about it. People think it's that easy to get into. And Canada's this free, loving country that welcomes everyone. We'll take all of you, whether you hate your country or you hate the president or whatever. And I imagine a lot of people are looking at it now like, what happened to the nice Canada? Like, the Needle and the Hockey Hall of Fame and, hockey Montreal and, Moose and Mounties. Like, nope, they're cracking skulls and yanking you out of your car because you left your house. It's a whole new level of people.
Dude, they arrested a couple of teenagers playing pond hockey.
Right.
Right. They went out on the ice and arrested teenagers, adolescents,
right,
juveniles, youths. If you're
a demographic
your neck of the woods.
demographic that's not known to really have any effect by this virus or very, very minimal effect.
Right. By playing pond hockey outside.
Right.
Like getting fresh air and playing pond hockey. Right. It goes beyond reason. It goes beyond reason. One of my favorite videos, I think actually you shared it with me, was, in preparation for Easter Sunday, the police went in to shut down churches to make sure that, people couldn't worship on, the celebration of our risen Savior. And that Polish pastor, Polish padre, he was like, warrant.
That's right.
Get out.
That's right. He ran them out. They went, right. He did not,
because he understood what his rights were,
right,
and he stood up to them. But so many, if you go on Rebel News, you start watching their videos, they're arresting the media for covering people doing things.
Well, Doug is mentioning that we need to stand up Radio Free Canada, I just got to say I didn't think about it until someone made a joke in here that Canada was jamming us. That we are actually pushing our video stream through Toronto because it's close to where I'm at. So I just now realized that when Doug said that, I'm like, oh yeah, I actually am. We're pushing this through Toronto. Like that's where this is going. So it's possible that
it's possible.
Yes, but no. So it is. I guess it goes to show you the grass is not always greener on the other side. And even though we have a lot of limited rights and things are going on in this country, it's amazing to think that a country like Canada, who's, like I said, always had this stereotypical image of being this open, free, we'll take anybody kind of mentality, is not that way. And if anything, they are taking it to the extremes that I guarantee you people in this country would not put up with. They put up with a lot, but they're already pushing back. But they would not put up with some of that stuff. There would be bloodshed of some type, and I don't know whose, but there would not be put up.
Let's explain why there isn't.
Oh yeah, there's no guns up there.
They don't have guns.
Yes, that's right.
They don't have the Second Amendment. You know, like.
And the guns they did had, along with Black Rifle Coffee, were restricted.
And airsoft guns.
Yes.
Yeah. You can't even have a good old side-by-side up there anymore. No. But the reason I wanted to bring it up is because you don't have to go to Hong Kong, right? You don't have to go to Hong Kong to see democracy being suppressed.
Right.
You don't have to go to the Ukraine to watch, like the influence on a country and the pending, what's going to happen. Like you heard it. You didn't hear it here first, but I want it on the record, at least, that I believe within the next 12 calendar months, the Ukraine is invaded by Russia.
Even though today there was some armament and stuff pulled back that did happen today. The troops have not left, right?
Hey, within the next 12 calendar months.
Yeah.
So it doesn't take much of a playbook, right? It doesn't take much of a playbook. If you can get, and this includes the US, and we do this. So if you can get the items that you need for an invasion close, it doesn't have to be right up to the berm, right? If you can get them close, then they're there.
Right.
And then once they're there, you can use it. Now, you're like, when do we do this? Well, I'll tell you, quite frequently, there's this little peninsula. It's, off on the right-hand side of Asia. It's called Korea, the Korean Peninsula. And quite frequently, we amass equipment as a show of force near that border.
And all around it, in the air and in the sea.
Yeah. Are we planning on attacking? Are we planning on invading? No, we're not. We're just reminding them that, we'd be down for a good time.
Yeah, we stand ready.
Yeah.
No, but you're just saying, we don't have to look far. I think we're going to go in. We can look as close as Canada and the U.S., right? And Rob kind of hits on that. Rob hits on that.
No, that's why I said we're starting up north and we're working our way south.
Right. Because
now Canada's just a little further ahead. Canada's just a little bit further ahead. And, I remember coming to the United States and, learning about the American governmental system and American history. And I remember one of the very first questions. So I had, to get the qualifications of an American graduate to get into American university, I had to kind of check some boxes, and I had to learn the 50 states. I can tell you what's not a state: the District of Columbia. And I can tell you why it's not a state, because I had to learn that the founding fathers of this country picked a unique piece of terrain that nobody had ownership to.
Yep.
So that it could be objective, truly be the capital, and not be under the influence of another ruling party. This beautiful idea of neutrality and objectivity.
Yet now, right? We have this push by one party solely for the reason of not because of the good of the people, because the license plate taxation without representation has been there for 20 plus years, right? Not for the good of the people, not to give them a voice. Because by the way, their proposal still leaves the federal areas off limits. So DC is only so big. The capital region, the White House, this couple few areas are not included. They want to give it statehood solely for the reason to have an advantage in the Senate. If they had an advantage of the Senate now, if the Senate was not a 50-50 Senate, if it was a 55-45 Senate or anything else, this would not be an issue. It's the same reason why they want to give statehood to Puerto Rico. It's solely for control. The same, which is the same motivator of why they want to pack 4 more people in a Supreme Court. It's all about controlling everything. They want to guarantee they own everything. Not legally, not through the will of the people and that stuff, by just forcing the issue. And the only way they can do it is to get rid of the filibuster. It's all about shoving their control over everything. If the American people don't see the Democratic Party as a Marxist, socialist, communistic arm right now, then they are blind and idiots compared to what the history is of this world. Because that's exactly what they're doing. They're doing what Stalin did. They're doing what China did. They're doing what Hitler did. Mussolini did. Taking control of everything for one party to push one will of a person. I'll pause. Sorry,
now,
I kind of been.
No, I'm typically not the guy that like falls victim to this, but it's happening. Like, this isn't conspiracy theory. This isn't made of tinfoil. This is actually what's going down. 6 months ago, there was zero discussion about DC becoming the 51st state. Zero discussion. Now, all of a sudden, and I wish I had I should have pulled it up. When you go to like the website, I was looking at it earlier. Make DC a state or whatever, the actual website that they're using, to promote it. The statement is that this is to correct an injustice. That this is to correct an injustice that has been served against the people of the District of Columbia. That they have gone this entire time without representation. They've gone this entire time without, the rights of everybody else. And they insinuate that they've been, oppressed,
right,
victimized, but like, no one talked about it 6 months ago. They weren't 6 months ago. This is purely just a power grab, 100% a power grab, so that they can. Yeah, there it is, statehooddc.gov. You like when you thanks Rob. When you like click on that link, just read. I'm gonna do it because I just like this is like rhetoric that is just like mind blowing.
Yeah, I had not seen that sign. I didn't even know that existed, but just hadn't gotten there.
About DC statehood. Since 1801, residents of Washington, D.C., abiding by all the obligations of the United States citizenship, have desired to be equal to all other citizens of the United States of America. That's insinuating they haven't been.
Right.
Like, why statehood? Let me click on that one. Well, for more than 200 years, the residents of Washington, D.C. have been subjected to systemic inequality and denied the full rights of citizenship that the residents of states enjoy, including voting representation in Congress. It is time to right this historic wrong. This is what they're saying. And this couldn't be factually more inaccurate.
Right.
And this website is a .gov.
Right.
Right. So just so if you're listening or you're watching, it's a .gov, meaning it is controlled by the government. I can't get TobyNunn.gov.
No, be cool.
I don't.
Stu in the Nunn.gov. I mean,
yeah. I mean, it would be cool as shit, right? But that's not how it works. Like, we don't have the credentials to get that. You have to be an actual government entity to own a .gov. And they are saying, the government is saying that the residents of Washington, D.C. have been subjected to systemic inequality and denied the full rights of citizenship. And I'm like, name one right that they've been denied.
Right. Short of electing for a representative, that's it. They have every right. They have every privilege.
But when you say that they're unrepresented,
right.
That's disingenuous, right? Because all the members of Congress that live in D.C. and pay property taxes, they actually give a shit about that city. And I guarantee D.C.'s never been shortchanged, because, you know, they got nothing but all the members of Congress walking through their beloved piece of terrain every freaking day. So, like, name one. They're allowed to vote in a presidential election, by the way.
Yes.
Like, they haven't been shortchanged that.
Nope.
So to say that they've been shortchanged the right of voting, they have a municipal government. They got a mayor. Perhaps you remember one of their more famous ones, like Marion Barry.
Yes, very famous.
He's the OG when it comes to Hunter Biden. You know, he's the original crack smoking, hooker dealing. You know, like.
And just to be clear, the D.C. was established in the Constitution, right? So it's established in the Constitution.
So there could not be favorites.
Right, not to exceed 10 square miles, to be the seat of the government. It's in Article 1, Section 8, right? However, there's nothing that says Congress can vote without a constitutional amendment and change what it is. What they're trying to do is say, well, we're going to shrink, because their site says it. Nothing says they can't change the size. They want to shrink it down to a 2-mile radius called the National Capital Service Area that includes some of those federal buildings. So they want to take this 10 square mile area and turn it to a 2-mile radius. That ain't 2 square miles. 2-mile radius is a lot smaller, and say they're staying within the Constitution. How does this not have to go for a constitutional amendment? It was established in the Constitution to have Congress vote and say, we want to make it a state. A territory is one thing. Puerto Rico, Guam, that there's a process for that, right? But it is not a one-of-a-kind, unique district, a unbiased, if you would, neutral zone that to house our capital. You know, the whole capital, that can't not get shrunk down to 2-mile radius. That government surpasses that. But anyway.
No, and like you said, to achieve some of the things that they want to achieve, they have to they need these numbers, right? I'm trying to remember the state that it's in. There's I believe it's a woman. She's won her seat fair and square. They had 3, recounts.
It's Ohio, I think. It was Ohio, the one that just Ohio or Iowa. Rob will tell us.
Sure. She won it fair and square. Yet the Speaker of the House is still trying to pull some weird power play to, like, have her removed from her seat, right, and have the members of the House vote that position null and void, so that they can award it to somebody else. To, like, basically take the voice of a political party over the voice of the people that rightfully elected that person to that body. And it's wild and crazy to believe that this stuff is actually happening. Getting rid of the filibuster, doing this stuff, stacking the court, like.
The American people, regardless of party, should be standing on their rooftops, screaming and standing in front of every office of every elected representative, right? Demanding. And I don't care. You could be liberal, and there's enough of them that are family and friends that are on my wall that love just spouting their pro ultra left stuff all the time. That's fine, because I have enough right people that love spouting that too, right? But this isn't a left or right thing. This isn't a conservative or liberal thing. This is an American Constitution, American thing. Just to sit there and support shoving 4 more justices in the Supreme Court just so you can have that one person advantage, right? How does the left and how do the elected representatives, how are they so short-sighted or forgetful of history to know that no party stays in control forever, and that will come back and bite you in the ass in a New York minute? We see that with the Harry Reid getting rid of the majority and going to a simple majority for justices, and that's why President Trump put 300 judges on the bench during his 4 years, because Harry Reid got rid of the need for a vast majority and could get it by with a 51 vote approval. And then what did the left do? Lost their mind in saying that he put all these justices on just because it was President Trump. And now when they went up in front on those steps the other day of the Supreme Court and had their little spiel, they claim that the Republicans stacked the court and they're just righting a wrong by adding 4 more in there. Where does this end? I mean,
right. But this is, it's not just where does it end. There's the pattern that I'm trying to show today is, we have political leaders, not just Canada, but here in the United States, that have the ability to get behind a microphone or a Twitter or whatever you want to call it, and say things with zero accountability.
Especially if they say it inside of Congress, because they can't be held accountable. They can slander anybody they want, and nothing can happen to them because they're doing it.
I mean, it's. I mean, we just saw what happened in the last administration if someone said something that they didn't like.
Right.
You know, and when he called out fake news but I mean, you had the president of the United States get 4 Pinocchios from the Washington Post because everything that he said about the Georgia
voting
the new voting bill coming out of the state of Georgia, he lied about every single aspect of it. Now, do I think that he deliberately lied about it? No, I think he was that dude's just dumb and uninformed.
He knows whatever his handlers tell him, right? They hand him
whatever the cue card, whatever the binder says. You know, like
he's the Ron Burgundy of this administration. That
he is 100% the Ron Burgundy.
He's like, I don't know, but I'm a big deal around here. You know, it's
do you know Mexico means whale vagina? Like, you know,
San Diego.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, exactly. He could say that and everyone would be like, ah.
They'd be like, oh, that's Uncle Joe. They're the same silly guy sniffing people's hair and liking kids rubbing his legs, and just silly Uncle Joe. Don't worry about him.
But there's no accountability for what people say, and that's why I wanted to bring this up. Like, that website, it's in writing, .gov, paid for with your tax dollars, and is 100% factually inaccurate.
Yeah,
it is nothing but it is saying that the citizens have been denied full rights of citizenship. They've not been denied any rights. They've not been shortchanged. It is a lie, you know, like, and it seems people were willing to call out anything that Trump said. I had a huge crowd. Your crowd actually wasn't that huge. It was only moderately large.
Right.
You know, like they would argue
hand size.
Once again, the president of the United States lies to you, blah blah, and they would go on for hours. But the president of the United States is actually lying to the American people right now on the daily.
Right. Yep.
On the daily. And there's no accountability. The Speaker of the House is lying to the American people on the daily and saying crazy shit. Did you see like what she said about George Floyd?
Thank you for his sacrifice. Yeah.
Well, I'm trying to figure out what he sacrificed, because I'm over here like reading that going, man, like you did something for like the betterment of mankind. I'm just trying to figure out what he did that was for the betterment of mankind. Like, was it the passing of the counterfeit money that was led to the traffic stop that interrupted his drug buying, that he swallowed the drugs and then like didn't comply in any way, and then ends up dying after he asked to be taken out of the back of the car.
Actually kicked his way out of the back of the car, but it was his inspiration to have riots all across this country and in other countries around the globe and cause murder, vandalism, destruction, and a hell of a lot of looting. Maybe that's what it was, right?
So like she says that you got Maxine Waters, calling for violence.
Right.
Now, you and I, we've had this debate, like I believe you disagree. I believe that you disagree with me, that when President Trump gave that final speech, he knew that if he insinuated that they needed to have their voice heard, people would act upon those words. He didn't say that, though. There was just the implication, and that's because like you and I have both been members of command teams, and when you've been a member of a command team, you know that like sometimes the commander intent is implied. Right. Just like you've also been a platoon sergeant, you've also been a squad leader, and there's been a missing door of a Humvee, and you've implied that you would like to make sure that everyone enjoyed their weekend. But we can't do that if we can't find a Humvee door.
Right. Or nobody can leave Afghanistan until we pick up all the brass.
Which the Sergeant Major of the Army liked the tweet and like commented saying he was looking for 5 volunteers. Right. Which that is the ultimate baller move. Yes, like Sergeant Major of the Army, here's to you, bud.
But no, let's go there. I know where you're going.
So use words, to use actual words, not implication, not implying,
but direct
words. But to use directly say, if the right verdict is not met, you must do this, and that being stay in the streets, show them you mean business, be more confrontational, after a pattern of rhetoric.
Right.
A pattern of rhetoric over the past couple years. I want to get Joe Collins back on the show because poor guy. I hope he's getting an opportunity to like smack her down. She doesn't even live in her district.
No.
But like here she is. She flies.
By the way, she was up there after curfew, so she's breaking a law. She was out after curfew, right? And so just want to highlight that too. Breaking a law when she was up there touting this hate and rhetoric for people to keep vandalizing.
It's where's the accountability and
be fair, right? Be fair. That's what, if you want to like apply the law and apply the guidance or the policies equal, but don't go quiet when someone from the left says something. Don't ignore it. Don't make excuses and say, well, when she meant confrontational, she meant this and all that stuff. No, right? The president said people, as you said, it was implied. People interpreted 10 different ways. He came out and disavowed that and said, hey, nobody should be doing it, which he said during a speech. No one should be violent. But she went out and said it. No one called her on the carpet, right? And McCarthy tried to, but of course they went party lines. And didn't hold her
accountable. This shouldn't just be an inside the house issue. No. This shouldn't just be. Where's the accountability? You can't yell fire in a theater.
Right.
Where's the accountability? You just said she was out after curfew. She has no business there. She doesn't live there.
Right.
Those aren't her family.
Those aren't her constituents.
Her constituents.
Right. Yes.
Why is she there? She is there for the purpose of inciting violence. At least, it summons her for the violation of curfew. There's no accountability. There's no accountability. You can say and do whatever you want. Hashtag accountability like LeBron James.
Let me give you another accountability if I can.
Yeah, send it.
You have all these things, police shootings going on, and you talk about anytime a police shooting happens, especially if it's a white officer against a black subject, Everyone runs to the streets as fast as they can. The other day they tried to run to the streets, and then they found that it was a white guy, and they turned around and walked back. They were like, "Oh, that's not our fight, right?" But we have a black officer, a black some type of Capitol Police federal officer that shot a white female, and they are refusing to bring him up on charges. A female that was not about to stab somebody. A female that was not pulling a gun or is trying to stab someone else, that was crawling through a window, good, wrong, or indifferent, right? Was in trespassing, broke other laws and all that stuff. But nowhere has that ever been justifiable to kill someone, to shoot someone. But you have this, she was a vet and all that stuff, great, but it doesn't matter. She was a citizen. It doesn't even matter what her gender, race was, but since they like to play that and everything. But she was crawling through a window. She could have got her, they could have palmed her head, shoved her back, could have done whatever, and shot her. I've watched the video a number of times, right? And they refused to name him, the officer, and they refused to charge him. When everyone else, when this ever happens on the streets, they get doxxed. You got LeBron James making comments. You got everyone else. You got the past president making Obama making comments. Our president and the vice president, who doesn't go to the border, but she'll get on camera with him in a second to make comments, right? Calling families and all that stuff. But you had a young lady, a mother, whatever, who felt strong, who made bad decisions, and was coming through a window in a doorway. They got shot. Yet nothing's going to happen, right? If people care about police violence, any kind of law enforcement violence, if they really think that some people overreach and they need to be held accountable, then if it's good enough for Trump, it's good enough for Waters or good enough for Pelosi or whatever. If it's good enough for an officer on the street in Cleveland or Chicago or Kenosha or anywhere else or Minneapolis, then it's good enough for a federal police officer or Capitol Police officer, what he was, in our house, right? It should be applied equally. And why the American people aren't demanding justice on that, right? Why is his name being kept off the books? Why is he not being at least looked at on charges and just being like, oh, well, he smoked with a Glock. It's all good.
There's so many of these cases, right? But we need to racially gaslight it. So I'm on Statista.com right now. And you can get there just simply by Googling number of people shot to death by police in the United States by year. And this nice little graph comes up. In the year 2017, 457 whites were shot by the police. And this very same year, 223 black were shot by the police. Right? Less than half. All right. And there's 84 that are unknown. Like they didn't know what their race was. So even if they were all of the unknown, we're all black, that still doesn't equate to, them even being shot at the same rate that white guys. In 2018, 399 to 209. Right. So again, right around half, just a little bit above half on that one. In 2019, 370 to 235. And then in 2020, 457 to 241, which was a huge spike in numbers. And then so far in the year of our Lord 2021, 50 white guys. Where 50 white people have been shot fatally by the police, to 30 that weren't. So, and then there's 112 in the year 2020 that are unknown. Like right. They're still like under investigation or where they haven't
or they just don't fit one of those two, right? They Asian or Latino or something, or is it?
Yeah, well, there's
Or they really don't know.
They're just, it's unknown.
It may be whatever they self-identify as. I don't know.
Yeah, right. So so in this, they look at whites, blacks, Hispanic, others, and unknowns. The unknown number is higher than the Hispanic and the other, in most cases combined. But the white and the black is very well defined. So here you have like an entire narrative that everyone just keeps getting down on and spouting over and over and over. It's all about justice. It's all about this, and it's like it's factually inaccurate, and that's on Google, right? So I didn't go to DuckDuckGo. I didn't have to go like to some special place to like get. That's the very first thing that comes up, right? Now, the reason I bring that up is because all of this is a crime. And when I say a crime, I mean that it's sad. Sorry, let me rephrase that. This is all tragic, and it's a crying shame that we have this many people killed every year at the hands of law enforcement. Now, how many of those deserve it? I don't know. How many of them didn't deserve it? I don't know. All I know is that there was 457 people killed by a cop, white people killed by a cop, and like that cop probably didn't wake up that morning wanting to do that.
Right.
It doesn't matter what color you are. It doesn't matter. And that's like this whole LeBron James thing. You're putting a picture of a guy out there that got up, 2-3 days ago, whatever day it was in Ohio, and was just trying to do a good thing for his community, just serve and protect his community.
And
he did.
He saved a young black girl's life.
He comes up on a scene where she is actively stabbing somebody and then turns and continues to stab another person. And he has no choice. And I don't care who you are, what you think you armchair quarterback it all you want. You don't engage someone with a knife.
Right.
Like if you think that you can just inject yourself with like the same level of force that's being used, which is deadly intent, by the way, the same amount of force is deadly intent. You use the most appropriate tool on the toolkit to diminish that threat and dispatch it with the quickness. And, like I watched the press conference where someone's like, well, why didn't you just shoot her in the leg? It's like, okay, one, like that police chief handled that exceptionally well. Cause he's like, well, cause it's a small target and it's moving. And like you don't want a round going anywhere other than its intended target. So you don't endanger anybody else on the scene. There was a crowd of people.
There was. You hit that concrete. You hit that concrete. There's no telling where
it's going everywhere.
Right.
It's going. You got. Like you and I have the benefit of taking classes in the military and learning about ricochet factors, safe surface danger areas. And so like for us, this is exceptionally elemental and academic. But to the layman, you're like, oh, well, why don't you like shoot the knife out of their hand? Like, oh, because you saw that on a movie, right? Like Billy the Kid was like, wow, like that's not how it works.
Yeah,
that's a moving target. It's a small target.
I'm assuming you watched the video from the security footage from across the street. It's very telling. I've seen the body cam footage. There's a body cam.
I just watched the body cam footage.
So I've seen that across. There's a guy whose ring camera or whatever, his security camera was across the street, captured the whole thing. You see how fast that thing turned from him getting out of his car, walking up, and that girl running around going after. I mean, it was in seconds, right? Yeah. And he shoots her as she is coming in with a knife, coming in towards the other girl, and is dressed in pink, like full speed, and he gets her like mid movement. And that night, I mean, he waited a half a second. If he would have paused and thought and tried to aim for something, that knife would have plunged deep into that other girl. He saved that girl's life.
No, without a doubt. And if I called him a hero in an earlier conversation, and someone disagreed that hero is the right word, and I changed my standpoint and said, okay, well, if he didn't do something and he witnessed it and just watched it happen, then he's a coward.
Kind of like that sheriff in Broward County, right?
If you don't do something about it, well, then you're a coward. So like the opposite of cowardice is bravery. So like, well, you might not like, and you don't want the narrative that there's a hero cop out there. You got to at least give it to him that he's brave.
To that young lady that he saved in Pink or any of the other, I'm sure he's their hero.
Yeah, I'm sure he is. But what I'm saying is like, then if you won't give him that status, you at least got to give him the status that he was brave, and he did a great job. Did he deserve to be doxxed? Did he deserve to be, like the thing? And in the same conversation, I learned a valuable lesson, and I'm not too proud to say it on the air that I emotionally reacted to something, and this person corrected me, and I was proud of that person for doing it, and they were right, because I was like, F LeBron James, dude's a coward, dude's a punk, guys like talking defund the police, but yet that dude doesn't go to a game without a police escort. That dude doesn't go to the airport without a police escort. That dude doesn't do anything without armed protection all the time.
Right.
Like, dude's like they get off their little charter plane, flying for whatever team he plays for these days. I haven't watched one of his, like, I need to make a decision specials in a couple of years because I don't give a shit about that sport. But, like, whatever team he plays for, was it LA these days, or
I think
is he
so.
back in Cleveland?
Yeah, he's in LA, I think.
Yeah, like they go out to the airport, they get on a charter plane, they fly somewhere, they get off the charter plane onto a bus, and that bus has an escort. Like, the hypocrisy of it. But then, to like paint that police officer with the same brush that, Derek Chauvin, just got painted, like to paint those two with the same brush, but then to say you're next and put it like a little time capsule, like your time's coming. That's a terroristic threat.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like,
can't believe his Twitter account hasn't been shut down.
Like, that's what I was saying. Like, how's he at least not been suspended from Twitter?
Or his sponsors haven't, like, cut ties with him or something.
Well, what I said in that conversation is I hope that he, lost all his sponsors.
No, he hasn't. Not one.
I know he hasn't, but like I said that I hope he, and I said he deserves to.
You know who did come out against him? You know who came out against him? OJ. OJ Simpson came out against you and slammed you for your tweet. You didn't see that one coming, did you? OJ came out against him. You're not batting too well, right? When OJ comes out, like, when OJ's like, "Damn, dude, that was kind of mean. That was rough." Like, that was uncalled for.
Right, but that's a terroristic threat.
Right.
You just well, one, you tried outing the guy, and then two, you're like you threatened him, and there should be accountability.
Right. Yeah.
Because I remember there was this guy named LeBron James a couple of years ago talking about how he felt the president of the United States shouldn't be allowed to tweet things because they were like inflammatory and divisive and racially charged, and what else he say, like irresponsible, and people could be hurt. Yeah
no, I'm with you.
Crazy. Yeah,
it's they're also trying to paint this brush on everyone that, and it's not that, and some people have been like, I can't believe all these cop shootings have happened in the last like week or two, and all these black people getting shot. Like, no, things happen all the time. It's just the news is not centralizing it. I can't even say the word like they are now. But you've had some pretty, and you also have this proliferation of body cam footage that is getting released more frequently and quicker than normal, because cops are trying to keep the riots from happening, right? So you have this shooting like this one that happened with the girl, in Ohio. Normally they would go through investigation, they do all that stuff, but they know people start they got their phones, people start tweeting about it. The cops are like, they see the truth, right? It's like the guy that was asleep in his car at Wendy's. I think that was Atlanta, right? Remember the guy sleeping in his car at Wendy's, and and then took off,
passed out in the drive-thru.
Right. And then once the footage came out, you see the guy got him belligerent, doing all this stuff, took the cop's gun, all that stuff, or taser, right? So the cops,
And
the police are having to release this footage as quick as possible. You know what other footage they released? Footage of a dash cam of this New Mexico trooper getting freaking executed when on a traffic pullover.
the AR,
traffic stop by an AR. No one's crying about that. Like people want to say, I'm about to rant, man. Sorry. People want to get on Facebook, say his name or say her name, right? You got to, say it like beyond, Taylor and all this stuff. Yeah, say that cop's name. Say the 3 cops in Atlanta that just had a 111-mile-an-hour car chase that were all shot by a guy with an AK a couple weeks ago. I watched that footage the other day. Just hit one cop multiple times. They've all survived, but say their names, right? Say the names of the cops that get shot, that get attacked all the time, right? The cops that in New York City during the riots, the cop the other day that got beat down, that they jumped on, he got surrounded and stuff. No one's saying their name. This is a two-way street. And by the way, those cops come from all races, and they're all genders, and they're all that stuff.
Yeah.
But people just want to go one direction, right? The same with this one in Chicago 2 weeks ago. This 13-year-old boy running around at 2:30 in the morning that just got done jacking somebody up with a 21-year-old and mugging them and robbing them, right? And boy,
member of the Latin Kings.
Yeah, and they went after him quick, right? They were like, "Oh, he's mentally disabled and all that stuff." Yeah, a mentally disabled 13-year-old at 2:30 in the morning in Chicago with a Ruger 9mm. Right? And everyone wanted to say, "Oh, I can't believe they shot that. They chased him down." Yeah, and when you watch the footage, the body cam footage, I lost count the number of times the cop told him to stop and drop the gun and stuff. And then you got that. Thank goodness you got that one last screenshot, 0.8 of a second, 0.8 before they fired. And you and I both being in the military understand the concepts of reaction and your brain and your muscles and how things fast. That he had a gun in his hand and threw it behind him. And they tried to come after that. The crowd, the group of people, the genre of people in this country that are trying to go after every one of these and make it an issue, tried to go after that. But you know what? When this kid has a gun visibly in his hand, yes, he dropped it, and 0.8 of a second he got hit. You're talking about reaction time that nobody can deal with. People that train all the time, that shoot all the time, that do these kind of drills, can't even react in that amount of time. But but they went after it like, oh, a young Latino kid shot by a cop. Yeah, where's his parents? Why is he out at 2:30 in the morning in Chicago, right? 13 years old. Where'd he get a gun? It's nonstop of them trying to, the media and the crowd that wants to do this. The crowd is Antifa and it's BLM and it's just, and a number of other groups want to continue to drive a wedge in this country and separate it, right? Completely. You got special instructions at the Floyd Square in Minneapolis. They have instructions for white people because they've made it a monument of what white people should do in there. How about people come from anywhere if they want to come there and pay tribute? Why are you calling out their gender or their race?
Like grief knows no race.
Right.
Grief knows no gender. So there are a couple things. And
sorry. I know I went through a lot.
No, you're good, bro. You're good. The one of the things that I want to talk about is, again, accountability. And so every Thursday, and I'm for sure on Thursdays, but I get up early and I try to watch a spectrum of news. So like I'll watch Fox, I'll watch CNN, I'll watch MSNBC, I'll watch BBC. I like hitting Sky, or I like getting down on my Australian or my CBC people to kind of see what other people in the world think about different things. And so when I was on my time for CNN this morning, the entire time was taken up, my entire CNN time was taken up by the aunt and of Dante Wright. And with the aunt, making sure that she was there and comforted and, looking pretty for the cameras and able to answer the questions, was the lawyer that is representing the family that just got done representing George Floyd.
Yeah, he runs those families quick.
Yeah, no, I mean, he gets there faster than Al Sharpton can get on a jet plane, which, I love that tweet that he put out, just heading in solidarity, heading to Minneapolis to be with the people as he's like flexing, walking towards like a private jet. And I'm like, don't you owe the U.S. government like $11 million? That's about the price of that jet. But The uh, this is going to sound unpopular, but here it is. Uh, we're this is all predicated on the lies or the misrepresentation uh, of facts. You know that we took. I just brought up the stats. I just brought up the stats where we talked about. Rob's got them in the chat box there on Facebook about the disproportionate level of killing by police of whites to blacks to any other race. Right? It's not even close. But this year in 2020, all right. So there was 50 white guys, 30 black guys, and 80 unknown or others killed for a total of 160 so far in the year 2021. There have been, in the year of 2021, 394 law enforcement killed, right? In the line of duty, right? So cops are getting killed at 2.46, the rate of 2.46 faster than anybody else.
Yeah.
Like, clearly, the most dangerous thing to be in America ain't white, ain't black. It's a cop. You're killed at the rate of 2.46 more than anybody else in this country.
And no one's thanking you for it. And no one's holding
and
you.
no, in fact, they're saying like you shouldn't even get paid. And they're vilifying you.
Yeah.
And they're doxing you. Right?
The cops today are going through what our vets went through in the 70s, 60s and 70s coming back from Vietnam. They truly are out there sacrificing for their communities, not their country too, but their communities, and practically being spit upon, right? Practically just being called every name in the book, and murderer and everything else. It's that's really what our country's like right now.
No, and let's talk about how some of these guys are dying. They're not just getting shot; they're getting stabbed. They're getting run over. I mean, like these aren't nice, polite deaths. Like, dude, that New Mexico trooper, like that is so chilling.
Yeah,
like that dude, like racks his shit, looks at it, and then just reaches over the bed of the truck and just blap. Like, didn't even seek a shoulder weld. I mean, just strong armed him because he was shooting him point blank. What's the width of a truck bed? 6 feet.
Yeah.
With the barrel going over, him standing a little bit away from it. So like he hits him at 6 feet. I mean, the powder burns alone.
Right. Yeah.
Like carbon. I bet that dude didn't look like he was well cleaned. So I bet like that rifle was dirty as shit. And like just the carbon blast coming out of the thing was enough to like blind a dude, even if he didn't hit him. But he hit him. He killed him. And let's talk about accountability. That's the uncomfortable truth. We got this. We're talking about this misinformation, but George Floyd, and I'm not defending Derek Chauvin. I don't know the guy. I bet we wouldn't like each other. I haven't seen anything that would tell me that he's an exceptional police officer. But at any point in time, like George Floyd had a lot of decision gates, right? And when I talk about decision gates, I'm not even talking about like life choices prior to that event.
Talking about at that event.
I'm talking about at that event. Forget the fact that he was pawning off like counterfeit 20s, federal offense, by the way. Like he gets apprehended for that federal offense. But that apprehension involves the interruption of him buying narcotics from his drug dealer.
In the passenger seat.
He could have, at any time, decision gate 1. Shit, you got me. Decision gate 2. What should I do with these drugs? Should I hand them back to the guy that just sold them to me and like do that? No, because like I'm hoping to buy from him again, so I don't want to burn that bridge. Oh, I'm going to ingest these because I've done that before. It shouldn't be that bad. You know, at least I'll still get high, and you know, they won't have evidence on me. Decision gate 4. Hey, put your hands on the back of your head and get out of the vehicle. Decision gate 5. Finally taken out of the vehicle and restrained and put in the back of the vehicle. Not like injuring himself and trying setting himself up. You know, one of the reasons everyone's like, the whole time he's saying he can't breathe. The dude cried wolf a bazillion freaking times. You don't have to be an asshole with your knee on someone's neck to like not believe a dude after what 22 minutes of him saying he can't breathe.
Right.
At some point, like, it became true, but like, there's always the chance it was not. Like, a guy starts beating himself up in the back of a car. Of course, you're taking him out of the car, not because you care about it, not because you're compassionate. Well, maybe, but best chance is because you don't have to fill the paperwork at the jail when that piece of shit lies and says that you beat him up. You know, right. I'm like that dude had so many decision gates. Breonna Taylor, don't stash drugs in your house. Don't date dudes and let them stash drugs in your house. Dante Wright, you get pulled over for driving a vehicle without tags. I got an idea. Like, put tags on your car. Don't everybody else in America.
Don't get warrants. Like, you
know, like, oh, and then they find out you got a warrant
for guns, dealing with guns.
But he was a promising young man. Decision gate. Don't resist arrest.
And jump back in the car, not knowing what you're going for.
Yeah, like, now that young, or not young, that veteran female police officer, she's gonna have her day.
Yeah, she made.
And we already know.
Yeah,
we already know that she's gonna be found guilty. Like, she did it. She admitted to doing it on camera at the scene at the time, and she's gonna pay the piper. And she's not gonna get a fair shake either, because everything's tainted, and she's gonna get maxed. But like, all these people, and I want to talk about this young knucklehead lieutenant that everyone's like,
oh yeah,
you know, I don't know how many people sent me this video, this like knucklehead lieutenant.
Yeah, there's a lot of decision gates there too. That dude brought it on himself.
Here's the thing: you're driving.
How many lieutenants make good choices? Number one.
Okay, I have met very few that do, and those that I did were Mustangs. So like, this guy is driving around, and this is how, like, for those of you listening, like, this, bear with me on this one. To get onto a base, your vehicle's gotta have its shit straight, right? You go through a checkpoint. They photograph your license plate. You're on camera. You present your ID card. It's got to be valid. They check to make sure that it's not a fraudulent card. It's an actuated card. They scan it. They get your data. You're allowed to get on. Bada boom, bada bing. You're on your way. Everybody, if you have passengers in your car that don't have a military ID card, they surrender their state-issued or government-issued ID card, their dependent card, and everybody, you know, and you as the driver, you vouch for them. But you're not getting on a base if you don't have, like, current registration.
Right.
You're not getting through the checkpoint. They're not like, oh, yeah.
If you're a visitor, you better show proof of insurance, registration,
yeah,
obviously all that stuff.
And you're subject to search.
Right.
If you're a motorcyclist, you can't even bring your motorcycle on base if it doesn't have the motorcycle safety course sticker.
And you have all the proper PPE that the military says you're supposed to have. Not that the civilian government, the military says you're supposed to have.
Yeah, which is completely different than what everybody else has. Helmet regulations, jacket regulations, visibility regulations, where you can present stuff, how, you know, like, anyway. So this dude wasn't like just coming from work. All right. So let's, you can say that he was just doing this and doing that. But if you have a vehicle that's got smoked out windows and you don't have any plates displayed, like, you didn't drive that on base.
Right.
Most likely. Like, I don't know what base, allows that, but I'm pretty confident they don't. Then once he gets lit up, once he gets lit up, he doesn't just pull over. He continues for over a mile and a half. Now, he says he wanted to get to a well-lit area. He chose a gas station, right? So when choosing a well-lit area and he chose a gas station, he parked his vehicle in such a way that it inhibited the police from approaching his door properly. Like he pulled up to the pumps, right? So instead of like pulling out in the well-lit area away from the pump so there's plenty of space, now like this dude, like he kind of hugs it in there a little bit, to make it harder for the cops to do their job. Then calmly like sets up his phone, prepares like the whole scene, and he's calm and cool as a cucumber. Now, the cops, they're like, this dude's got a vehicle, doesn't look like it's legal to be on the road. We light him up. He doesn't want to like pull over. We follow him for a mile and a half, and then when he finally does pull over, he pulls over in a way that makes it difficult. And now he doesn't. Now he's setting up like.
And they don't know if he's pulling guns out, if he's stashing drugs,
they,
if he's.
They don't know any of that stuff.
Right. Yeah.
Any of that stuff. And I still have more points about why we know this dude just didn't come from work.
Right.
So he's sitting there in his uniform, right? And then he starts spouting his off. Like, of course, he hasn't complied to anything. He doesn't answer questions. He can say that he wasn't combative, but he wasn't cooperative.
Right.
Right. They show him a little bit of grace. And I got to be honest with you, they show him grace because they only used the pepper spray. And they gave him options.
They kept telling him, don't do it. Come out of the vehicle. Don't do it.
And he's like, well, I'm afraid. Well, you should be, because you're doing it all wrong. Just come out of the vehicle and work this out. Why am I like this? I served the country. You're a fucking lieutenant. You haven't done shit yet.
Well, the one cop was great. The cop was like, yeah, I have too. What's that got to do with it? Like, good for you.
Yeah.
Bad people serve in uniform too. We can rattle off names right here. We can start with Son, work our way to Koresh. Or
we don't even have to say famous people. But here's the thing. In the end, they get him out of the vehicle. He admits on camera that he's a knucklehead, and he had a gun in the door.
Oh, he did have a gun. I didn't know that part. He did have a gun.
He had a gun in the door. Right? So the whole time, this dude is doing all this stuff. He's got a gun in the door. Now, he like, is playing this is a good time for me to get the payday. And he's like filed, because I don't know what he filed for, like 5 or 10 million or whatever, in his lawsuit, for whatever, for the violation of his rights, which he admitted that on camera that he did everything wrong. But let's just think about this. So he's wearing his uniform. So he's just out driving around wearing his uniform. Okay. Maybe that regulation's changed. I'm sure it has.
Was he a guard soldier, reserve soldier? Maybe he was coming from an armory that maybe didn't have. I'm just wondering, right? Because he's in Virginia. Maybe he wasn't on a base. He may have been a reserve or active guard. Maybe.
Well, then he should have said I was serving the state.
Right. Well, if reservist, he'd be he'd be federal. But still, I mean, I'm just wondering if it would. That may be he may have been coming from that. But
okay, maybe. But like, he had his dog in his car, so like, I doubt.
That's right. He did have a dog in the car. Yeah. That's right. So he wasn't
there. Then he has like a gun in the door. I'm pretty confident that's a federal felony. Just saying.
He probably wasn't on base then for that case. But
that's what I'm saying. It's like this dude like is thrown out there like, woe is me, look at me, I'm just an innocent guy. But here, let me make sure I set the stage for myself and I paint the picture the way it's gonna backfire on this ass clown because like the FBI are looking into it now.
Because, I don't want to name names, but we have some friends, or a friend, a person that we have been acquainted with a lot in the past, kind of went through the same scenario, right? Was supposedly minding own business, right? Cop came upon him. Cop probably did some things wrong. And I think in this case, the cops could have done some things better, right? But we're hindsight's 2020, and we're sharpshooting from the outside, right? He definitely could have done some things better. But like our friend that's went into the situation before, there's faults on all sides, and either one could have diffused and de-escalated the situation really quick. Right? This guy could have, if this guy pulled over, you've probably been, I don't know, maybe you've been pulled over and you've been in uniform or whatever, but I have.
Yeah, I've been pulled over in uniform.
Right over,
I've been pulled over,
and you go.
I've been pulled over in civilian clothes.
They look at you like,
I tell you,
why
when I was better behaved.
In uniform, right?
Yeah, I don't want that. You represent something bigger than yourself.
Right. And he pulled over. If he had pulled over right then, well, I don't know why he had to be in a well-lit area, but if he pulled over right then, cops come up, they see he's in uniform and all this stuff. Hey, what you doing? Thank you. Okay, I'm just coming home from work, whatever. Picked up my dog from my girlfriend's house. They probably wouldn't have asked about the gun. They probably wouldn't have pulled him out. They'd have been like, dude, you don't have a tag on. He could have been whatever. He'd probably been all right. But to drive a mile and a half, number one, it amped up the cops, as we talked about, right? That definitely helped. The cops reacted the way they did. Could they have toned it down when they saw him in uniform? Maybe. But again, that uniform doesn't alleviate you or put you, like, make you somehow an angel or a saint. We all know that. That definitely doesn't happen, right? It doesn't remove you from your culpability from being guilty of something. But he also could have just said, my bad, I pulled over here, let me open the door from the outside and get out. Right? Or, hey, I have a gun here, just so you know, I got my dog in the back, right? If he would have been up front, they would have been like, okay, thanks for letting us know, just keep your hands out, all this stuff. But the whole, hey, why? I need to know why. There's no why. Yeah. Because of that gate guard at that base, Fort Myer, McNair, any military base in that area, says, step out of your vehicle. What do you think they're going to do right there with that MP or civilian contractor?
Dude, he's getting spiked, son.
Hey, no, why do you want me to get out? What? Like, it's going to be, bolt charge to the rear and like selector switch off semi, because I told you to get out, right? You're not going anywhere. Yeah. Like, why is it any different? This is a uniformed police officer who you've identified as a police officer who obviously has shown that, gives you an order, a lawful order, you comply. So all he's doing is actually step out of the vehicle. That's it. And I don't care what race you are, what uniform you're wearing, what anything. That is the way the laws are written. You comply and find out what the issue is.
Hey, officer, is your camera running?
Yeah.
Cool. Do you mind if I run mine too? Just to be safe.
He was asking, where's the commanding officer? Where's the or whatever he was calling us?
Yeah. Like he was gonna get privilege.
Yeah. Like you ain't Maxine Waters. You ain't playing rank on me. Like, just get out of the vehicle.
Like, you're entitled to a supervisor for sure.
Yeah.
You
want my badge number, right? You want my badge number?
You're entitled to all that stuff. But again, like, here's the thing: is all these people that they're celebritizing, they're glamorizing. Now, I got a little emotional in this conversation earlier today because, like, Nancy Pelosi's words about George Floyd. Thank you for your sacrifice. And the reason it bothered me, and, take it for however you want to take it, but this is how I feel, and it's in my heart, and I live in a country where I'm allowed to say this. It hurt my feelings that she did that. It hurt my heart that they made a hero out of this guy that was an absolute piece of shit. A life of criminality. I don't care if he was getting his shit together or not. He didn't have his shit together that day.
No.
And, he committed a crime and he was doing drugs and he's lying to the cops. He's not conforming. He's not complying, and he ends up, I got no sympathy. I'm sorry. Like, you should have complied. I don't think lack of compliance is a death sentence. But he probably shouldn't have swallowed a bunch of drugs and had his heart stop.
Which he had a medical condition. He had a heart. I think he had an enlarged heart. He had a medical condition like that. Didn't help.
All these, a lot of bad decisions. But they made a hero out of him. President attended his funeral. Lawmakers attended his funeral.
He had 4 funerals when nobody else could in this country when no one else was allowed to have funerals. Had a flag
when
presented.
no one else.
Yeah, had a flag given to his family that flew over the
Yeah.
Capitol.
Yeah. And the rest of the flags in the country at half mast.
Well, right now in the current administration, they dropped a half mast every single time something happens.
Yeah, it's like you get a half mast, you get a half
Right.
mast. But here's what I want to say is I've served in the company of real heroes.
Yep.
And I can tell you at their services, looking left and right, I didn't see a fucking president. I didn't see the lawmaker that voted to send us to that war zone. I just saw heartbroken families and heartbroken brothers. And they're making national hero out of a piece of shit. And they did it again this morning on CNN. The Dante Wright and their family, like, he was a promising young boy. He was like doing such good things. Like, well, then why do you have a warrant? And why do you?
I think several warrants actually.
Like, and why did he resist? Like, that's not the actions. This mother that's saying like her daughter was like she loved peace. She was all about peace. She was a straight A student. She was an honor roll student. She was a knife wielding maniac
at 16 years old.
Like,
yeah,
like these aren't heroes. These are not to be celebritized, and they're not to be celebrated. Like, I don't care. Like, you can call me whatever you want to call me. Like, it's not going to make it true. But like, George Floyd did not help the American people. He did not sacrifice himself for the greater good. He died in police custody committing crimes. That's it. End of story.
Now, are the police culpable? Are they guilty of not handling it right? I mean, it appears that way, and it very well could be.
Dude's in jail.
Right.
Dude's in jail.
What else?
It's called justice.
Right.
It's called due process. But
what were the banners they walked around? No peace, no justice, no peace, no just. And they were arrested 4 days later. It was like, okay, we got that done. Right.
Justice has been served.
3 more coming up in August. Right. The other 3 officers are coming up on their trials in August.
But I tell you, it was very telling. It was very, very telling this morning on CNN when they asked the aunt and this family spokesperson for Dante Wright what they were looking for, because they're not getting him back, right? And they were like, well, we want justice. It would be really sweet. It would be a bittersweet moment if we got justice. And then, like, as she continued to speak, I realized, and they weren't talking about like justice being served. They weren't talking about like this cop being held accountable for her mistake. They were talking about a financial compensation.
They're looking for they're looking for the payout.
They're looking for the celebrity payday. They're looking for what George Floyd got, and George Floyd's family got like lifted up as angels and as heroes, and they got lavished with gifts and finances.
They made quite a bit of money off of the city of Minneapolis. I think, what was it, 20 million or 10 million or something like that? Yeah. You know who made a lot of money? Yeah. And didn't pass it on? BLM. Why George Floyd? That's why George Floyd.
All that in their name. Yeah. All that in these people's names, and they're like, I'm gonna get this.
That's why George Floyd's brother started raising Cain. Like, where's all this money at? You raised off my brother's name. You raised off his back. Where's that? Oh, we know where it's at now. It's in 4 houses. But, that's literally who made money, right? You talk about capitalizing off the death of people, right? And capitalizing off of misery and everything that's happened with all the riots and everything else. Yeah, that's who's made the money. They just happen. But you're right. That's probably is what they're looking at. Look, that's a society we're in. Right.
But they're like that's this racial gaslighting.
Right.
The most important thing we got going on in the country, of all the things that we got going on in the country right now, it's not some guy that resisted arrest. You got people, trying to like change the Constitution of the United States by making DC a state, getting rid of the filibuster, infringing upon the Second Amendment,
stacking the court.
Stacking the court. of all the things that are like
we're also
worth looking into.
We're also dealing with a major pandemic and trying to put a stop to that. Right. We still have thousands of people dying and being sick every day.
No big deal. Right. Not one of them is as important. Not one of them is important.
Yeah.
I tell you who did a lot more for the humanity is Patient Zero. Patient Zero did a lot more for humanity than George Floyd will ever have done.
Yeah.
So
well, we covered.
That's all I got to say about that.
There we go. Well, that quick little rant. We're at hour 40 in, and just like the last couple months, there's so much to cover. This is why we didn't have a guest tonight, because we knew there were still a number of topics we wanted to get on, but that we started with Canada, we worked our way down, and covered a lot of stuff.
We didn't even talk about the border yet.
We didn't even talk about the border. We didn't even talk about the tax changes. And a number of other things going on. We talked a little bit about Ukraine. We didn't talk about Iran. We didn't talk about North Korea restarting their missile program. We didn't talk about what China's doing in the South China Sea and everything they're doing. I mean, it's nonstop. The best thing I saw the other day was the administration is being tested like 4 different ways right now on foreign policy issues. But we didn't talk about the border. We didn't talk about the border czar, Kamala Harris, who's yet to be down there, or any of that. But maybe next week. I don't know. I don't know off the top of my head if we have a guest next week. But we hope everyone does join us next Thursday night at 8 o'clock Eastern, because we will be back here and all of our outlets. And what's that? What did Dave call it? YouTube, Twitter.
And YouTube, Facebook, and whatever else he got.
Whatever else he got. App. There we go. So be sure to tune in to Dave, too, every Monday to Friday, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., WBEN.com. You can listen to him. He's got a big following. He has a phenomenal show. He covers all kind of topics. And
we talked about butt dialing today.
Butt dialing and palm scanning, retinal scans, and buying your groceries and all that kind of stuff, and who knows what else. But anyways, thank you everyone for tuning in. Thank you for letting us into your homes and on your screens and in your ears tonight. Toby, good to see you, brother, in the Southern studio. It's 37 here now in Northern studio. It finally stopped snowing, because it's been snowing the last couple of days, so it has not been a fun place.
Good. Shoveling's a good workout.
Yeah, but that's true. Upper body, never skip leg day. Anyways, thank you, everybody. Toby, good to see you. Everyone else, we'll see you next Thursday here at stewandthenunn.com, 8 o'clock Eastern. Talk to y'all then.
Oh, and for my main man, Donnie Hull, piece of shit. He said, say piece of shit again. I was like, yeah, piece of shit. He was a piece of shit. All right, let's go.
Okay. I didn't know where we were going there. All right, back to let me crank back up the music here. Yes, one time I didn't have a technical issue, but you gave me one. So, all right, here we go. Well, that wraps up another episode of the Stu and the Nunn Show, and we hope you had as much fun listening to it as we did hosting it for you. Don't forget to like our Facebook page and follow us on Twitter. You can find all these links at stewandthenunn.com. We will talk to you again next Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. Also, we'd like to thank our sponsors, Commodity Outdoors, Veteran Outdoors, Enlisted 9 Fight Company, Warrior Media Solutions, and BooHammer.com. Thank you again, and have a good night.